And my story is real estate. I've been doing real estate for 30 years.
This is my winning season. In spite of my potential.
I remember when my mentor said to me, "You are too talented to live your life." So my mentor said to me, he said, "How do you know you can afford something?" I didn't know the answer. And this is what he shared with me. I want to leave this with you. He said, "Delano," and this mentor was my financial mentor, white guy, okay? And he said this to me, "You people." Now, of course, I was ready to fire up, right? But this is what he said. He said, "You people, if you understand the power of delayed gratification, you'll never be a slave too long." I want to leave this one last thing with you. You can afford whatever you can if you can purchase it 7 times over. I took that and I went and I studied. I read about 300 books to find out how did this happen to me. I couldn't find anything, so I figured I was supposed to write the book. And that's exactly what I did. I wrote a book called Refuse to Live, Talented and Broke, 10 Keys to Unlocking Your Creative Earning Potential. I'm going to be out here in the back. When I'm done, I want you guys to come on and I got some more information for you. And I want to give this book out to someone who is extremely broke. You so broke you can't pay $29 for this tonight. Now, if that's you need to come to the back end and see me. That's you, brother? Yeah. Y'all give him a hand. Listen, good to meet you. Listen, I am not Baby Brown's baby boy, but I'm sure I am Mama Rose's favorite son. God bless you, I love you, and I'm out. You don't kind of get rich, bro.
I don't know, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good evening. I'm glad everybody's here, and my buddy Steve Cooper says, iron sharpens iron. A lot of iron in this room, and you're here for a reason. You're here because you want to do a little bit better. I want to do a little bit better. And my story is real estate. I've been doing real estate for 30 years. I enjoy it, but I cheated. I walked on the backs of my ancestors. I talked to my mother, who's 96 years old. I said, "What did my great uncle do?" She said, "Your great uncle came from Guyana. He bought property in Harlem. He bought property in Brooklyn, and he brought other people over and worked with them and taught them to trade." Those properties got passed to my grandmother in Harlem, Brooklyn, Bronx, to my mother, and I thought about it. We sold some. At 17 years old, my mother told me to go to Brooklyn and collect the rents from our brownstones on Lafayette and Sumner. I had a Fiat, little sports car. I wasn't really trying to go to Brooklyn and collect rents. Like, we don't have it, come back tomorrow. I'm gonna come back from Inglewood, back to Bed-Stuy, pick up rents at 17? All right, long story short, we go back and forth. We lost the houses because of taxes. Today, those properties, you know what they're worth, millions and millions of dollars. Just not having the knowledge. Nothing more than not having the knowledge. I wasn't feeling it, I didn't understand it at 17. My mother worked very hard as a nurse, my father had multiple jobs. The entrepreneurial spirit wasn't there. My mother knew it was very important, I didn't get it. I didn't help her out as much as I could. So when I think about the brownstone that we had on 136th Street, 241, that my grandmother had. My aunt sold that in the 70s, 12,000. What's that worth today? 2 million, 3 million? I walk on the backs of my ancestors, I think about that. I think about that constantly. I say, I can do better. Fast forward, I had multiple jobs from the time I was 17, worked for Muller's Macaroni, Barney's, sold shoes, had limousines, cell phones, and I met my wife. She was in real estate. And she said, I sold her a cell phone. I sold the father a cell phone. She said, you need to stop selling me cell phones and maybe get in here and sell some real estate. So the starting out with the real estate was kind of tough because if you don't do a deal, you don't eat. So I was selling cell phones and I had a limousine. So I was going out with the limousine, I was driving a limo and trying to do some real estate. Driving a limo and trying to do some real estate. So finally I'm in the office, I get a call, I gotta go to Newark. I go to Newark in the limo. I come back, she says, where'd you go? I said, I went to Newark, I had to make a run. She said, how much money you make? I said, I made $50. She said, I rented an apartment, I made $800. What you gonna do? I changed my focus. I started listening to people like Les Brown. I started seeing people like Zig Ziglar, Anthony Hopkins, before the internet. We got out there, we were here, just like you were here, packed in. Wherever we had to go, we listened to them constantly. I started doing due diligence. I started taking a 12-week program called Sweat Hogs that just changed my life. The most expensive, the most intensive real estate course there is. Started treating my business, like a job. It was serious. If you're gonna make a little bit of money, go get a job. But if you wanna be wealthy, do something that's gonna give you unlimited income. And I was fortunate to have a mentor, which was my father-in-law, Mr. English. And I was also fortunate to have a rich dad, poor dad. Because when I got in the game, my father, holding 2 jobs, he used to tell me, he says, I always got a job. He said, you're gonna run out of jobs. You're gonna run. I said, no, Dad, I always get a job, because I interview well. So when I started working in real estate, he said, watch out for him. Because there's always that premise, when you see somebody dressed well, driving a nice car, you kind of wonder, if he ain't doing insurance, what's a black man doing? Mr. English was an entrepreneur. Started the business in 1955, had 3 offices. Before they let black people in the multiple listing system, he had to develop his own system to share information. 1955, English Realty started. So a lot of people working for other companies, those same people would not let black people in the multiple listing system. And we talk about that now during Black History Month. So we came a long way. We have to be 10 times as good to get half as much, constantly. So in working with Mr. English, he told me, he said, don't depend on your commission income alone to have a living. He says, buy investment properties. Buy a house every year. I'm like, I didn't own one house. He's telling me to buy a house every year? So I got on the bandwagon. I got my credit right. I picked up a piece of property. 6 months later, I picked up another piece of property. And I picked up another, and another, and another, and another. And then I had a new BMW, had a Mercedes. He looked at me and said, you stealing my money? I said, no, I'm buying houses. So the cash flow was very good, and we did well. My wife had cancer when she was 21. Cancer came back. She looked at me and she said, we got all these properties. I'm tired of writing all these mortgages. Let's sell them. I need to condense. Get your father moving with us, my dad moving with us, and we get one big property. So I caught the height of the market. Market went up, and that shows that you're really in the game. If you can stay in real estate in a bad market and weather the storm, there's a lot of people doing mortgages, a lot of people in the real estate game, a lot of people making money. But the minute that tide came in and changed things around, it was a whole other story. But my wife got through the cancer. We sold most of our investment properties, and they have not reached the price that they were at that time. So I realized even earlier that real estate is something that I'm going to do for a long, long time. So I'm blessed to be in the game, and there's many people who are looking to get in the game. And even if you want to be conservative, just buy. Buy something with a 15-year mortgage that you can afford. And just think, keep buying another one and another one. And just think, in 15 years, your plan could be to have $1 million, $2 million once those properties are paid off. It's very simple, it's not that difficult. You have to make a move, you have to get out there. The fruit is on a limb. So you gotta get out there and pick the fruit out there. If you stay close, you only get the low-hanging fruit or whatever drops. But if you get out there, it's a very, very good thing. My mom is here today And my mom has even been in a position where at 96 years old, she drives around every day. All right? I love her to death. And I believe the secret of her longevity is the fact that she openly gives. She gave a house to her friends that she worked with as a nurse. And she understood what it was to take care of people in a nursing home. If you have that deep feeling about taking care of people, right, I think the Lord will take care of you. She calls me up, I said, "Ma, where are you?" She said, "You're the doctor." I said, "Ma, you was the doctor last week." She said, "Yeah, I'm the doctor." Call the next week, "Where are you at?" "I'm the doctor." I said, "Ma, you're the doctor all the time." Got good health care. Stays with the doctor. Inspect what you expect. Another key to real estate is also longevity. You can't see a mortgage get paid off if you don't stay healthy enough to get to that point. There's a lot of people who are flipping properties, buying and selling, and making money. But that's just money you live on. It's like taking the cow and selling. And you made some money, sure, I got no more milk. So the key is to keep the cow and keep milking. Right? Keep the cow. So you get your 2 families, your 3 families, your 4 families, and develop income. Now, you don't have to be in real estate. Turn it over to me, I'll manage it for you. And you can go to the Bahamas, you can go to Puffy's party, you can go anywhere. But the key is to do something with your money, get your money to work for you. It's really not rocket science, but we have to do that in order for us to get ahead. I love my mother so much. She really made me what I am today. And all those quotes that this gentleman said was the same thing my mother said to me. And I believe that's very important, that I'm fortunate enough and blessed enough to have this woman in my life. I'd like her to stand up right now. Mother. It's also good for me to have a good mate. My wife runs the office. She's a broker of English Realty. We've been together over 30 years, and it's always good to have somebody to bounce things off of. And sometimes, in a lot of cases, it's your strength that, you get up, you talk about it. Sometimes it's your weakness too, because if you have a problem at work, you go home, and if you don't take care of that problem, it could be a real problem. But she's a broker in the office, and she runs things there. But when we get home, I'm the boss, right? So everybody to know, when I get home, I tell my wife I'm the boss and I got the last word.
That's right.
Yes, dear. Yes, dear. Yes, dear. It's not easy, but here again, I'm blessed to be here and to be opening up for a great man like Les Brown. And like I said, before the internet, he was our go-to guy, always listening to the cassettes and listening to the lesson. You need that. You need somebody to tell you that it's possible, that you got greatness in you, and that you can move forward. And it's so much we need to be reinforced constantly. People can tear you down and put a word on you. Put a good word on you. Somebody told me don't drop names, but Benny Ashburn, he got the Commodores out of Tuskegee. We were over his house swimming. I was there with Allison Williams. His girlfriend came out. She looked at us both and put a word on you. How many times does somebody put a word on you? Not a bad word, but a good word. Put a good word on somebody. Benny's girlfriend looked at us and said, I want you both to be successful. She looked at Allison, looked at me and said, I want you to be successful. Imagine you talk to your kids. Success happens on purpose because you talk it into them, you pray it into them, no matter what. Because in times of turmoil, those things come back. Our kids remember that. You think they don't listen, but they listen. And we have so many distractions now with the internet and social media, you still got to talk to them. I love the face-to-face. I love things like this. Yeah, you might see him on a podcast, but there's nothing like being live. Again, Ron Rollison, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dawn. All right, let's do it again. Let's give Dawn another standing ovation. this love is for you.
Every night. Every day I was playing, every day. I became a motivational hair salon. And I was so excited. Because a friend of mine called me up one day and she said, listen. She said, I got a surprise for you. I was jumping up and down, screaming and howling. I was just so excited. And from 1990 on now, he has been my mentor, my friend, my confidant, my son's godfather. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause!
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. You may be seated. I want to get comfortable because we're going to have some transformation time. Let's give Don a round of applause. Thank you. She did this in a very short time, and I'm so glad to be here. How many of you know friendship is very important? Yes, and so we've been friends for a very long time, and I have, first of all, I want to explain my tennis shoes. I never go on stage in tennis shoes, but I have an ingrowing toenail, and I am diabetic, and you have to watch your toes. And this is not something you try and do. There's my dog over here shaking. How you doing? So glad to see you. And so I had these good-looking shoes, but they said not tonight. And so I said I wrote down a put my tennis shoes on, and I want to spend some time sharing with you what is that? Somebody's smoking crack. Help me out. Thank you very much, please. Take another deep breath, please. Take another, and everybody together, please. I want you just to listen to this. Ready, set, go.
Against your heart. The enemy came up against your shield. The enemy came up against your name. The enemy came up against your character. You will win. You will win.
It's my winning season. Everything attached to me will win. It's my winning season. Give yourselves a round of applause. Come on, give me a round. I need the clicker to be able to change the slides, please. I want you to think about your goals and dreams right now. And as you think about your goals and dreams, when I was in the car today with Stacy, that I was just affirming that this is your winning season. It's very important. Even though you might not have any evidence to point to. Even though everything going on in various areas of your life might be in a state of chaos. It's not what it is you want it to be. I can share with you, based upon what I've gone through, that you can truly, with integrity, proclaim that is your winning season in spite of. So it's easy to say it's your winning season, your bills are paid, your business is working out fine, your employees are showing up doing what they're supposed to do, your marriage is working out fine, the children are acting like they have good sense. It's easy to say it's a winning. Why are you standing there? Give me this. Thank you very kindly. Okay. Now, I want everybody to sit down because this is distracting to me. I'm old. It's easy to distract old people, you know, so I'm my 74th year on the planet, so, yeah. Thank you. I literally, and some people can tell you, if you go on YouTube and you put in Les Brown speaking from his hospital bed, I had a serious medical procedure. And I gave a speech from my hospital bed, right? And like with instruments going off, and nurses coming to the room, drawing out blood, and I'm crying when they stick me with a needle. Hey, you have to do it in spite of, because things gonna happen. And this place where I was, everybody repeat after me, please. Take responsibility. Take responsibility. And those are some R's I don't deal with. Taking responsibility for your stuff. And I had a reoccurrence of cancer. I'm a 21-year prostate cancer conqueror because of God's grace and mercy. My PSA, thank you again. My PSA at one time was 2,400. 1 to 4 is normal. And so, but I take responsibility because everywhere I've gone, if it's MD Anderson, if it's the Cleveland Clinic, Optimal Health Institute in San Diego, if it's Sana V in Mexico, everybody talks about the fact that cancer feeds off sugar, and you can find it online. But here's something else, and to your spine, that the chances are slim to none. So I said, I'll take slim. How many of you take fluid right there, man? So to me, getting my affairs in order, that means committing myself to a regimen that says I'm going to be here, and I'm going to fight, and I'm going to do whatever is required to extend the quality of my life. Because all of us going to go at some point in time. Nobody's figured out how to get out alive. So I want you to take some notes on some things here, where this place where I am in my life, going from positive thinking to spiritual knowing, that you're going to go through some stuff. Forrest Gump had a point. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And own it. Take responsibility. There's a saying, wherever you find yourself at some point in time, you made an appointment to be there. So own it, and deal with it, and handle it. The other thing I believe, that ask for help, not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong.
That's right.
And ask for help, and don't stop until you get it. And so I've been getting all the help that I possibly can in a variety of ways: mental, emotional, spiritual, CBD oil, eating like a silly wagon, exercise. I do all the stuff that I need to do that other people have done successfully to increase their time here on the planet. We all have an expiration date.
Yes.
So I'm saying to you, stuff's going to happen when you have goals and dreams and things that you want to achieve. So let us say together, I take responsibility.
I take responsibility
For my health,
for my health,
for my well-being,
for my well-being.
for my emotional and spiritual strength.
I own my stuff.
I was born to win.
I was born to win.
This is my winning season.
This is my winning season.
In spite of
In spite of
my potential
my potential
is greater
is greater
than the adversities I'm facing.
than the adversities I'm facing.
How many of you know that to be true? Raise your hands, please. Fantastic. I want you to shake someone's hand on your right and left and say goodbye. Do that right now. Say goodbye. And the reason that I had you to do that is because that you, if I do my job properly, you'll be a different person leaving here than when you came in. You didn't come here to leave here to be the same person. And I want to make it clear that everything I'm going to share with you, you already know it, you've heard it before, it's part of your belief system. Otherwise, you would not be in this room with me right now. If you do not know what I know in your heart of hearts, you would not be here. And understand and know that you're different. If we had entertainment with the same marketing and advertising strategy, for some entertainment, you couldn't get near the place. Be okay with the fact that you're different, you're unique, and commit yourself. Make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to live from your truth, not from the truth around you. There's a reason that we're told, be ye not conformed to this world, because most people are conformists. Most people, I remember the only time you saw tattoos on people when they were in prison, because it's against the law, it's against the rules for them to draw artwork on the walls. And so, out of boredom, they started drawing tattoos on each other. Now the subculture has become the norm. Repeat after me, please. Make a mark with your life.
Make a mark with your life.
It's anybody can sit around and have somebody draw a tattoo on them. But if you're making a mark with your life, you want to become engaged in life. And understand you're different. The fact that you came to see me, you are different. You're not like everybody else. And that's a struggle to get used to. This lady, Mrs. Mamie Brown, she's a foster mother, and I was one of the 7 children that she took in. She was different. I always say that I speak because of 2 women. One gave me life. The other one gave me love. And God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. She had a 3rd grade education. And she never had any children herself. And she always wanted to have children. And she used to tell the neighbors, oh, I would give anything to have a boy. She always wanted a son. And then our neighbor, Mr. Moore, said, there's a lady in Liberty City, she's had twins. Mamie, would you take twins? And she said yes. And so Mr. Morse drove her out there and met a gentleman named Mr. Bannister. And I want you to keep these names in mind. And Mr. Bannister took her to this house on 62nd Street and 17th Avenue Northwest and introduced her to a lady who had shoulder-length hair. She was holding Wesley and I in a light blue blanket. Just talked to my brother. And she said, the lady looked up at her and her eyes were red and very sad and said, are you the lady, Miss Mamie? And she said, yes. And you'll take both my boys? And she said, yes. And she said, I've always wanted a child. I always wanted to share my life with someone. So Mr. Moss and Mr. Bannister helped her get up, and she kissed us and gave us to Mrs. Mamie Brown. My mother looked at her for a while, and she turned around, and as she walked out, this lady walked very close to her. She'd say, like she could hear her walking and feeling her presence and her breath on her neck. And when she got outside, Mr. Moss opened the door, and she stood back. And then when she got in, when Mama got in the car, he closed the door, and she came and she said, hold him near the window, and she kissed us again. And she turned her back to the car and hit it and said, go. And when Mr. Moss drove off slowly, she screamed, said, wait! And Mama said, she said, Mr. Moss, I think she changed her mind. Oh my God, she changed her mind. And her heart was beating fast. I was so nervous, Leslie, I thought she was going to take y'all back. I was so nervous. I said, this can't be real. And she came to the window and she said, you swear you're going to take care of them? And she said, yes. You swear to God? Yes. Moss, you go. And she said she drove off. And I remember I asked Mama, Mama, the reporter asked you, and I had a talk show at that time, that King World had paid me $5 million to do the talk show. How did you know you could take care of 7 kids? Because after Wesley and I, you adopted 5 other children. And she said, I just believe the Lord will make a way somehow. Now the reason I'm sharing this with you I want you to think of your biggest dream. And I don't want you to rule anything out. And the fact that you don't know how to do it now has nothing to do with your having the capacity to make the dream become reality. I didn't do what I'm doing now because I was thinking small. Because when I was in 5th grade, I was labeled educable mentally retarded. I was called the dumb twin. I was put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade. I failed again when I was in the 8th grade at Booker T. Washington High School in Overtown. And the experience that I had learned at this stage of my life, I've gone through a lot. I realize that each of you here, you're not just here because you've chosen to be here. You're here because you're supposed to be here. Because what's in me is also in you. I just want you to watch your minimum of 21 days. Why? Because it goes past the conscious mind to the subconscious mind. This is for mental resiliency because you're going to take some hits. Things are going to happen to you that you cannot imagine. I became diabetic, then I had to go on insulin. Then insulin makes it difficult for you to get the weight off. It affected my psyche. And then I couldn't do one push-up. I used to 142. Jack LaLanne was my hero. And it was tough. I never forget. I was on the floor trying to do a push-up, and he told me, he said, 1 week from now, you won't be able to do what you did, because I dropped down in his office and did 122 push-ups straight. He said, yeah, that's impressive. He said, I'd like to see you do that 2 weeks from now. And so I was home before going back to do some blood work, got on the floor, and I couldn't do one. And the phone rang. Ed Black from Brooklyn called me. Hello? That's how you all right? No. What's wrong? Ed? I can't pick my body up off the floor. What do you mean? You know I challenge you guys on stage. And I'm weak, man. I can't explain it, man. I'm weak. He said, can you still talk? Yes. Can you still tell your story? Yes. Can you still change lives? Yes. Anybody ask you to do push-ups? Get your ass up and shut up. Put your lights out. He says, strengthen what's left, Ronnie. Strengthen what's left. He's right. Life is going to strip you of some stuff. Strengthen what's left. Does that make sense? Yes. And so my mother, she gave us 2 pieces of sugar cane. I did a tour with Donald Trump called Millionaires in Training. He was complaining that his father only gave him $14 million for his dream. But look, if you give me $14 million, that would have been my dream. I didn't even know if I gave you $14 million for your dream. You got a good shot at living your dream. Yeah, my mama gave us 2 pieces of sugar cane. So some of y'all was going to buy some sugar cane after this, all right? And so here's what. But look at that next level. And what I learned from Sam Maxwell and from Mr. Washington, young man, go to the board and work this problem out for me. Sir, I can't do that. Why not? I'm not one of these students. Look at me. Yes, sir. Go to the board and work the problem out anyhow. I can't, sir. I'm just here to see MacArthur Stevens. The other students started laughing, saying, he's Leslie. He's got a twin brother, Wesley. Wesley's smart. He's DT. What's DT? He's a dumb twin. And I said, I am, sir. He came from behind his desk and looked at me. He said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. Amen. And so that became a defining moment for me. I remember a speaker being on stage, he was going back and forth. He said, there's somebody here that should be here, but you You'll see it out there in the audience. I'm up here holding this microphone because you've convinced yourself, because you don't have a college education, you've convinced yourself that you cannot compete with people who have MBAs and PhDs. You've convinced yourself that you can't do what I'm doing. And you're good at it because you love it. You can make a call for 10 cents. And I called Mike Williams. She said, Mike. He said, yes. I said, I'm not rejecting myself anymore. He said, what's wrong, Brownie? I said, I'm not rejecting myself anymore. Brownie, calm down. I said, will you come help me, Mike? Will you come help me? Because I decided that I wanted to do this. Whatever it is that you want to do, and I want you to think about what that next level is for you, ready yourself. Invest in yourself. You can't see the picture when you're in the frame. You can't read the label when you're locked in the box. Put your money on you. Put your money where your mouth is. Invest in you. They talked to Warren Buffett, and they asked him, what's the most important investment a person can make today? Here's a guy that had billions of dollars in the real estate market, billions of dollars in stock market. He said the most important investment you can make is in yourself. Most people are not doing that. Most people have settled in. Even though they know there's no such thing as job security, they're just floating through life. It's been said that most people die at age 25 and don't get buried until they're 65. You are here because there's something in you that says, I can do better than this. There's something in you that says, I deserve more. I met a young man. What's your name? Mr. Cookie Man. What's your name? Corey. Corey, come up here, Corey. And where's the gentleman with the bow tie? Come up here, please. And so, Corey, people produce their own line of cookies. Am I right? Tell me about your cookies, please.
So I have a cookie company called Mr. Corey's Cookies, and they're all natural. We started in 2009, first to get a car for my mom, and did for college, and we went on local TV shows and started growing, and we're now selling online.
I want to write this down. Relationship capital. Relationship capital. Yeah, so I'm going to interview him on my Facebook. I have over, with my Facebook, Instagram, and all the other platforms, over 3 million people to help him to sell his cookies. Give him a round of applause, all right? What is your name?
My name's Sydney Brown.
All right, and what is it that you have? What is your product?
My product is that I make bow ties for dogs and people.
He makes bow ties for dogs and people. And I teach dogs how to sell bean pies. Okay, well, oh, behave. How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for 4 years now.
When did you get the idea?
I got the idea because during Hurricane Harvey and Irma wanted to support dogs as best I can.
That's good. What about you?
I got the idea to make cookies because we first started with hot chocolate lemonade, so cookies were well.
Give us a tremendous round of applause, all right? So my goal is when I do events, I want young people to come out and bring their inventions and their ideas and their products. I'm going to have coding conferences, teaching them coding and technology and ways in which they can use their talents, abilities, and skills to create innovative products and make it possible that we can help to back them so that they have an extended vision of themselves beyond being rappers, beyond being basketball players and football players, and know that they are global citizens. Does that make sense? Yes. Yes. So the other thing is that as you look at yourself, you have to look at what does that next level look like for me. They did a movie, it's called Paris 1517, and my voice is being used in the movie. So I'm doing, were you able to cue that up? Not yet, okay, it's okay, it's not necessary. So anyhow, so what I'm doing now, I've got an idea for positive movies, that's life-transforming movies, and I'm gonna reach out to some people. Now, there is a movie called Black Panther. Where's that place where people want to go? What is it? Wakanda. Wakanda. That's a state of consciousness. Yes, and so people online, they say, how can I get a bus ticket to a college? And so that movie, it has value. But just think about this. This is the first time on a big screen that we had a superhero that we're projected in a positive light. We've always seen other people, Townsend goes to Africa and beat a whole tribe of Africans with one switchblade. Come on, man. I was cheering for Townsend. Lone Ranger, Kibosabi, one who's wise, Tano, one who's stupid. We've been taught to hate ourselves. Our kids, even between ages 0 and 5, because of this dominant toxic culture, they don't like themselves. In the Black Doll study that's been demonstrated for years. And so when you are treated less than in a toxic, negative environment, it takes everything in you to overcome that. The options are different in your vision of yourself. So I had to fight hard to get out of Liberty City in Overtown. I had to fight hard to get this vision of myself. When you see me speaking in the Georgia Dome, I was sleeping on the floor of the Penobscot building in Detroit, Michigan, on the 21st floor. And I had this vision of speaking in this big stadium. And I want you to think about some goal that you want. And hold the vision. Discipline yourself. Turn off the television. I got a 3x5 card. And I wrote on this card, I'm the world's #1 orator. And on the flip side, I wrote Matthew 7:7, ask and it shall be given, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be given unto you. And I read that 3 times a day. As I read now, I give thanks I am healed, totally, of cancer. I read that 7 times a day. I have a card where before I was diagnosed with cancer, and I look at that picture several times a day, and on the flip side, that I read it and then I write it. Why? Because I'm engaging the subconscious mind. Mr. Washington, he said, if just one of you here could hear me, and I followed down the auditorium steps. Name of different stuff in the river, several times. Did I tell you 7? Here's my